Hey, teacher friends. I'm Anton McCoy, and welcome back to the Teacher Support Network podcast. So today I'm diving right into our topic, and we're going to be talking about teacher time, the time that we have versus the energy we have during our school days. So let's think about this for a second. Have you ever had a full prep period, let's say between maybe 30, 60 minutes? Your door's closed. Maybe your calendar is technically clear, which doesn't always happen, but maybe it is. You don't really have any scheduled interruptions. And somehow you still didn't get the task done you planned to do. And you're sitting there thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Why does it feel like I didn't get anything done? And to be honest, nothing. Nothing's wrong with you. But what may be happening is you're trying to manage your time without really paying attention to your energy. And especially for SPED teachers, our energy is the real currency. So let's talk about our time versus our energy. So when we talk about lack of time, we talk about that all the time in the education circles. How much prep do we get? Do you get one period or two? Is it 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes? I know elementary schools, SPED teachers might get about 30 minutes in a day if everything lines up. Middle school might be around 45 to 60 minutes based off periods. And high school may be a little bit longer, like 60 to 90 minutes. That's time. Time is blocked, time is structured, and time shows up whether you feel sharp or exhausted. It's just there. But energy, though, energy is your clarity. That's your focus. And it's your emotional bandwidth. Your ability to think clearly through an IEP goal without rereading it the same sentence 6 times. Has that ever happened? Or really about your ability to lesson plan for a small group and actually think intentionally and creatively about your plans instead of throwing something together just to get through the period. Now, you can have time and still not have the energy capacity within that time. And that's where frustration can really start to creep in. So let me tell you an example of how I learned this in my own teaching practice. So one year when I was teaching in a high school setting, I had a prep period first thing in the morning, but I also had another prep period at the end of the day, and we had a 7-period day. So same length of time, same number of minutes, but I was using those prep periods backwards. So in the morning, I would lesson plan, I would grade, I would respond to emails, and I kind of would knock out the lighter things. Then I would save my IEP writing for the end of the day. Now, on paper, that kind of made sense to me. That, let me warm up in the morning and I'll do the heavy stuff later. But my energy really didn't work that way because in the morning, especially in my building, the building was quieter. My brain was fresh. I hadn't been asked 10 to 15 questions yet. Nobody had to pull me into something unexpected. And that was actually my sharpest window of just like focus. Now let's fast forward to the end of the day. After teaching 5 periods, after redirecting students, after collaborating with my IA and some gen ed teachers, and just also helping a key few students regulate their own emotions and navigate through tough times, by then, guess what? My brain was shot. My brain was fried. And I would sit there trying to write present levels for an IEP or develop accommodations to put into the IEP. I type a sentence, I reread it, second guess it, maybe get interrupted, and then try to go back to restart my thinking again. And it felt like I was walking in a circle and not going anywhere. But guess what? Same prep period, same amount of time, but I just had different energy at the end of the day. And I wasn't being productive really at all. So that's when it really clicked for me. It wasn't that I needed more time per se at that point in time, but I needed better alignment within the time I already had. So I switched it. Morning prep became my deep focus IEP writing time where I could really think about the present levels, annual goals, accommodations, kind of that real thinking that I can really go back and really process on a deeper level. My door was closed. Interruptions were minimized as best as I could. And, I just really used that time to kind of really lock in. And then the end of the day prep period I had, that became my lesson planning, when I would do some grading, and maybe some lighter tasks. And here's what really surprised me. Lesson planning at the end of the day actually filled me up because it was more creative, it felt more enjoyable, I could move around, sketch out ideas, and really think about like engagement that I wanted from my students for the next day. And I didn't require razor sharp like focus and precision because of the type of task it was. It was like I said, lesson planning was something I really like to do for my students. And so once I made that switch, I got more done in the same amount of time because the work finally matched my energy at a certain point in the day. So let's think about this. SPED teachers, you're doing your case management, you're teaching, you're collaborating with other team members, you're problem solving in real time all the time, you're taking care of your students and behaviors. And that's a cognitive overload that we carry every day. And not every task pulls from you the exact same way. So when you're writing an IEP, that might be more, you need more high energy. Developing goals, more high energy. Maybe analyzing data that you might be getting, more high energy. Having that tough parent conversation, that requires a lot of emotional focus during that time. But then let's think about if you're organizing your files. That could be lower energy. Like grading, lower energy. Maybe you need to copy materials and things like that. That's a little more of a lower energy activity. But most of us just drop tasks into whatever time slot is open. And instead of just asking, when is my energy best suited for this? We just do whatever and we kind of go back and forth to do different tasks. So what I want you to do is pay attention to your energy. Try this for 1 week. Notice when you're sharpest. Is it the morning after you had your coffee? Is it midday, maybe around lunch or after lunch? Just notice when your energy is the sharpest for you. No judgment, just notice. And then match your highest focus tasks to your strongest blocks of time that you have during the day. And protect that space when you can. Close the door, silence your notifications, limit interruptions if possible. Because you can't write meaningful IEP goals while answering 5 emails and then being pulled into the hallway for conversations at the same time. That's not really being productive. Actually, that's kind of fragmentation. And when fragmentation happens, it really drains energy faster than you realize. Now, let me say this. Some of you are probably thinking, well, that sounds good, but I only get 1 prep period, and it's packed. Now, I get that. Sometimes everything has to live inside 1 time block. That's just how our schedules are. Now, this isn't about having the perfect schedule. Even inside like a 40-minute prep block that you might have, there's usually a first portion of the time where your brain is the sharpest, and then there's probably a latter portion where you're probably not as sharp. So if you only have 1 time block, start with the highest focus task first. Even if it's just like 15 minutes of intentional working on that particular task before shifting to another one, try it. You may not be able to control the whole schedule, but you can often control the order of how you do things. That's where you get to determine what to do. And to be honest with you, order really matters. So let's stop the task switching. Switching between writing an IEP, answering emails, handling a behavior situation, and then jumping back into an IEP, that switching is costing you. Your brain has to re-enter the context every single time, and re-entry takes energy. Sometimes it's not the task taking too long often. Sometimes it's just the constant switching that's making that's the challenge. So try to batch similar work when you can, and just stay in one lane, stay on one task, stay focused on that one thing long enough to try to make some real progress. And at the same time of doing that, remember to protect your emotional energy too. As SPED teachers, you carry a lot. You're advocating, you're supporting, you're explaining, You're holding space for your students and your team members, and you can't always see the emotional like drain and fatigue it's having on you, but you feel it. So when that happens, just kind of try to build in little short, like I call them mini retreats or mini resets. Let's call it that. You know, take a pause, take some deep breaths, get up, take a walk around the hallway or around the school, stretch for a few minutes, get a water break or a bathroom break. These small resets can really protect your bigger energy blocks so that you can maximize them to get the things done that you need to. Listen, you can't control everything in a school schedule. Meetings pop up, crises happen, but within what you can control, be strategic, not frantic. And sometimes you don't need longer days. I mean, longer days are always great and more time is always great, but sometimes you don't always need that. I want you to think about that you may just need some wiser alignment between your time and your energy levels. When high energy work lives in low energy time blocks, it creates the illusion that you're always behind, even when you've been working really hard. So remember, as I always say, when we go into the classroom and do the work that we do, we're planting seeds every day with your students, with your IEP systems, with your collaboration with your team. But you can't plant well from depleted soil. So if you're overwhelmed and don't know where to start, let's try this week one small shift. Just one. Move one high focus task to your strongest time block window and see what happens. And if you're listening and thinking, I'm overwhelmed, I have so much to do, and I don't even know where to start, why don't you go check the show notes? I created a reflection guide that's designed for this exact moment. And that's when everything feels loud and you need a starting point. It's a 10 minutes, take 10 minutes, go through the reflection guide, slow down the noise, and just name what's draining you. Choose one clear next step, not everything, just the next step. And you can find that in the show notes and the reflection guide that's there for you. All right, teacher friend, thanks for listening to our episode today. Be encouraged, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.